swap places with Will for me. All right, let's get this party started. First of all, let me say thank you, and for those that are up top, let me say thank you for joining us today. This is the fall 2023 record-breaking Bearcat Buddies class. Yay! That's what I'm talking about. First, housekeeping item. If you are not following us on Instagram, I'm going to give you about 5 seconds to follow us. Why is it important? Because I have an ego and I'm trying to get as many followers as I can. But secondly, there are important announcements, updates, scholarship opportunities, free food, et cetera, that we communicate through our Instagram account. Okay? And I will take a moment to introduce you to William Kegg. He is our longest serving Bearcat buddy. So he just wanted to take a few minutes to talk with you. He's got a loud voice, so he don't need a microphone.
Thank you, Anton. How are you guys doing? Perfect. Welcome to the program that I've met you before. Like Anton said, my name is Will Kegg. I'm a 5th year getting my master's in business analytics. I was at Linder, got my undergrad in business analytics and service management. I love this program. Volunteered as both a lead tutor and the regular volunteer for 3.5 years, and I've worked as an intern, data analytics intern straight with Anton for the last year and a half, going on 2 years. Hopefully you guys feel the same way, stay on, and that's what you'll be able to see, get the baby next to me. So, thank you guys for being here.
All right, thank you. Thank you. I rely on William a lot. I will sometimes have an idea at 2 o'clock in the morning and be like, I wonder what we could do if we did this. So I'll just send him some stuff and be like, hey, figure this out for me. So I'm going to miss him when he's gone. So let's meet the rest of the leadership team. We have from left to right, we have Noah. He is our program assistant. He is a 3rd year. We have Kara, our program coordinator. So any questions that you have with the volunteer portal, that's your point of contact. The young man, and I use young loosely, that was up here with me, who mic'd me up, his name is Fran Larkin. Fran is our program director. Interesting fact, Fran is one of the founders of Bearcat Buddies. Yeah, founder, so he's been a long time. 2010 is when he co-founded Bearcat Buddies with a young lady from Grad Cincinnati, Miss Pat, and CPS. So we give Fran a lot of kudos for starting this, and we're going to take it to the next level. And then that guy on the right is Keith Lancer. He is our assistant director. He handles all of the UC votes, RAP program, things of that nature. So that's our entire leadership team. Why tutor with Bearcat Buddies? Okay. First, you will be a part of our alumni network. So as you graduate and you go into the real world, right, we will help keep you connected with networking opportunities. Sometimes we have events. If we have leads on jobs or you need help mingling with your major, with other professionals, that's a good way to stay connected. We also have our Bearcat Buddies banquet. So at the end of the year, for tutors that get certified, and I'll go into that a little bit later, we put on a banquet, right? Last year, we actually gave out a $2,000 scholarship named the Miss Patricia Stewart Adams Bearcat Buddy Tutor of the Year Award. And that's a copy of the award. It's way better than that, that's a proof. But Miss Lisa Harris was the actual winner of that award. Why else join Bearcat Buddies? Well, who likes getting paid? Anybody like getting paid? All right. So if you are federal work study eligible, you can participate in Bearcat Buddies as a paid tutor through the America Reads program and get paid $15 an hour. I ain't talking about Chipotle type work. I'm talking about tutoring, all right? Who in here has a scholarship of some kind that requires community service? That's why I love Bearcat Buddies. Look at all these bright minds in here, right? It's a great way to earn your scholarship hours. Sometimes you have service learning requirements, so we do that as well, right? We also have some leadership opportunities where we have Bearcat ambassadors, and those are people who love Bearcat Buddies, they believe in the mission, they are dedicated, and they go out and try to recruit as many UC students as they can, because we have over 1,000 Cincinnati public school kids that need help tutoring. We also have a lead tutor leadership program. Anybody here in the honors program that you got to have an experience or something like that? So Bearcat Buddy lead tutor position will satisfy that requirement. And lastly, we have the opportunity, you have the opportunity to earn a micro credential and be a certified tutor. And I'll get into more of that later. All right, so this year, the University of Cincinnati joined the National Tutoring Association. The only way I was able to sell it was I was like, Ohio State's a member, so is Duke and Harvard. Don't we want to keep our name associated with them? They're like, yeah. So we are a member now of the National Tutoring Association, and I won't bore you with reading that because you probably have already read it. But why become certified? So trained tutors understand when a student's academic or personal problems are beyond their scope of expertise. Certification assures administration that their staff have been trained by professionals. Certification, training helps to prevent problems that can occur in tutoring environments. Certification provides the standards by which work can be measured. And then that link will give you 15 other reasons. Now, one of the things that we are in the process of doing that we'll do next year is we are applying for our Bearcat Buddy program to be certified, our program certification. So some things in this training is required, and we'll go into other things throughout the year. So if you get an email and you see the National Tutoring Association, you should remember this conversation. Now, some of you are saying, well, what is it certified and how do I become certified? And you might have a whole bunch of questions, right? So there's 3 levels of certification. There's basic, intermediate, and advanced. You have to have documented tutoring hours. So as you tutor through the volunteer portal, that's your documentation. To be basic certified, you have at least to have 30 hours, 50 for intermediate, and 100 for advanced. And you have to attend a training that's about 4 hours that is facilitated by yours truly. And an important note is, even if you look and say, wow, I got 50 hours, I can be a intermediate certification. It don't work like that. You got to start, you got to be like Drake, right? You got to start from the bottom and now you're here, right? Everybody looking like, oh. But anyway, I got a few looks and laughs. All right, so what I am going to do based on your registration, I am going to be reviewing my records to see who is eligible for certification. There is a lot of code of ethics. So hopefully you got a handout as you came in that discussed the NTA's code of ethics. I am only going to highlight 5 of those, but I do want you to read the other ones. Bottom 2 at the page is that I understand my relationship to each student I tutor is professional, not personal. So you might have a little kid, they'd be like, oh, I wish I had some candy. Oh, I wish I can get a sticker. Something like that. Keep it business. I will respect and be sensitive to students' cultural background and personal value system, keeping in mind their personal dignity. right? You don't know what these kids are going through or what it took just for them to get to school that day. So no judgment zone. On the back, I will be on time for tutoring all appointments, understanding excellence does not compromise time nor make excuses. I will keep information about all students I work with confidential, and I will share any concerns I have with my supervisor. Now, supervisor in this case mean your lead tutor. It can mean the liaison at the school. It can be an email to me or to Fran or anyone like that. Okay? Each year, we are required to do annual background checks. If you have had enough time to fill it out while you were waiting, good. If not, you take it with you, and there are instructions on the form that will tell you how to turn those in. If you're like, my social is on here, I don't really know about like giving it to this way, we have a secure lockbox in our office outside that you can slide it in, and only a select few people have a key. You can also email it. But a few things to make sure you do, so we won't have to hunt you down and stop you from tutoring, is to make sure you complete both sides of that document. Use a pen, not pencil, and only wet signatures are allowed. So no digital signatures, they'll reject it. Use your full local address, so not just 123 Clifton, it's 123 Clifton, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45223. If you don't know your social security number, you have to use it, so find it before turning it in. And if you don't have a social security number, then you can use your passport, but you have to attach a copy of your passport to the form. Agreement and expectations. Know what to expect, know what is expected of you. This is really important, so I want to spend some time with this. This is a weekly commitment for the semester. So when you was registering, if you can't commit weekly, you're not eligible. Training. This is a training that you have to complete. After this orientation, there is another training that is mental health and suicide awareness and prevention. And I won't steal their thunder, but they're very, very good. Got your background check. Comply with all University of Cincinnati and Cincinnati public school policies. Okay? Consistency is key. You would be amazed at the stories that I hear from kids that say, I am never missing Wednesday because Sarah is here on Wednesday. So imagine if you are that kid and Sarah don't show up because she had a test she thought she needed to study, prioritize and study for. Or just didn't feel like going. Or she partied the weekend before and now she's got to catch up. Imagine being that kid who's waiting consistently for that person, that positive adult role model in their life, and they don't show up. Okay? Attendance policy. I will let you miss one. I give you that one. All right? I'll chalk that one up to me. Second, unexcused absence means any further ones, you got to have documentation, but you are on probation. That means I will not let you into the program. If you can't commit, if it's not serious enough for you, sorry, but I can't use you, right? I understand that my primary customer as a representative of the University of Cincinnati is you. I understand that. What makes this program so unique is that others benefit. And those others are these elementary school kids and these high school kids that are relying on you to help them learn how to read, learn how to count, and just be a positive. Some of them had never met a college student before. Communication. Accept direction and be proactive. It doesn't matter if it's the school liaison, if it's the van driver, if it's the lead tutor, it's me, it's an ambassador. Whatever direction they give you, follow it, okay? Ask questions if you are not sure. Relay any discipline concerns immediately, okay? So that's to your liaison, that could be to your teacher, that could be an email to me. Just communicate. Tell someone about any difficulty with your tutoring relationship as soon as possible, right? For example, I had some young lady that was like, every time I go and try to tutor this kid, they're just bouncing everywhere, they're not paying attention, I'm frustrated, I don't know what to do. Because they were able to communicate that, and we were able to do some investigation, we found out that the kid didn't take their medicine. They thought that they would be better not taking their medicine on the day that they have a tutor come, because they want to have fun. Well, you need this medicine because you need your medicine. Let someone know your concerns, and if you're not sure what to contact, you can always contact the Bearcat Buddies at uc.edu. And feel free to take any pictures of these slides that you feel like you need to remember. Reporting expectations. This is a fact, okay? Anyone's safety or well-being is at risk, you must notify school staff immediately and fill out an incident report as soon as you can. All right? You don't need to judge whether or not something happened or should be reported. Go ahead and report it. Children, peers, and anyone you come in contact with in the community, report it. There has been an incident where a child has confided into a tutor about some concerns that end up being not valid, but we still had to treat them as such. Okay? The school staff will notify me, but do your due diligence and notify your lead tutor, if you have one, because there's some sessions that don't, and or me, and I'll point you in the right direction. Okay? Some other tidbits. Stick to tutoring. Maintain no contact with tutees outside of your tutoring sessions. At the end of the year, you will get a survey, and that's an assessment. Sometimes people will say, you know what, I want to do more with little Johnny. Like, I've got this relationship, I want to do more. That's outside of our scope, right? As much as I want to, my boss had to reel me back in, as much as I want to create a mentoring program that will extend past Bearcat Buddies, we got to stay in our lane, okay? So no contact with students outside of the tutoring session. Dress appropriately. That means whatever it means to you. Understand the situation. You are going into sometimes urban school districts. You may go into some low poverty areas. You may be going in with and tutoring a 9 or 10-year-old boy. Dress appropriately. Complete assessments. Periodically, I will send you an end of the year survey. I will send you during the year. Complete them. If you don't, it can jeopardize your ability to participate in our program in the future. And represent. You are representing the University of Cincinnati when you go into these schools. These kids are going to be excited. They may not have ever thought about college before. You could possibly be the first time they are ever introduced to college. Make it count. Positive. Back to dress appropriately. This is Noah. He did not really like me doing this. You have a t-shirt. I spent $13 on your t-shirt. T-shirt is a mandatory dress code. Mandatory dress code. So make sure you wash it. It's cotton, so let it air dry, right? If you lose it, I may not have another one, okay? But make sure you wear that. I don't care what shorts or pants or anything you wear after that. but you gotta have that t-shirt. Number one, safety. When you have that t-shirt on in this school, the school will know you're not an intruder. They will know you belong there, okay? Brand awareness. We are trying to get 1,000 tutors to serve 1,000 students. There's 50,000 UC students. There's 10,000 students that need volunteer hours. We're just trying to get 1,000. Some logistics. The volunteer.uc.edu portal, everything you need to do to communicate, that's where you're going. If you have Cincinnatus, Turner, UC Global, international outreach, those hours will be reported to you. This is probably one of the most important things I'm going to tell you. If you violate the terms of your volunteer agreement or anything else that I've talked about today, your service hours can be revoked for scholarship and course requirements. So you can tutor all the way up to 9 weeks and do something you're not supposed to, and we have the right to take away all of it. Now, I think in Fran's 13-year history, he's had to do it twice. And those were extreme circumstances. But you guys are all model UC students. You guys got good hearts. I don't think we're going to have anything of that come up. But when in doubt, ask. If you ride in the Bearcat Buddy van, your hours will be entered on your behalf. So if you email and say, hey, I drive the van, but my hours ain't entered in yet, I'm going to remind you, remember they automatically get entered, okay? If the van is available, but you decide to drive yourself and your friends, which I appreciate it because that opens up for others, it's your responsibility to check in with that van driver that your attendance get counted. It is not the school's, okay? It is not your lead tutor. These are your hours. You take ownership of that, and you check in with that van driver. You make sure your stuff gets accounted for. Now, if you drive to a school where we do not offer transportation, let's say like a Roll Hill or Riverview East, right? Then you work with that school liaison on how those hours will be reported. That school person will tell you, hey, I want you to submit it every time you do it. Or, hey, I'll do it on Mondays. You just work with them directly. We don't have anything to do with that. Questions on that? Questions on anything so far? Yes. Papers for what? What need to be signed? It depends on where you're going. If you are driving yourself to a session that don't offer transportation, then whoever in that school will, okay? Typically, Fran, is everybody, does individual teachers require? Is that good? Okay. Any other questions so far? Look at that. Oh, wait. Yes. You're jumping a little ahead there, my friend. Give me a second. All right, so this is one of our Bearcat Buddies vans. Notice how nice, clean, and shiny it is. Notice the brand and marketing awareness, right? If transportation is provided, This is where we'll meet. University Circle, near the Pavilion in the Arts and Sciences. You will know when you sign up, it should say transportation provided. It will say transportation not provided. So you look for the Bearcat Buddy branded van. Before you step into the van, make sure you clarify, this is going to Price at 9 o'clock, right? Yeah, come on in. This is going to Hayes at 10? No, that one's coming, okay? Now, sometimes the van driver will say, okay, we're all going to Price, right? Yeah, all right. Be at the meeting point at your assigned start time. Do not be late. I will be honest with you. I supervise the van drivers. I tell them, give you 2 minutes, because that's all I can muster, because sometimes it's dropping off, picking up, swapping. I mean, it's a lot of logistics. Trust me. I spend countless nights up trying to figure this out. So be on time. Another thing, when you are tutoring, wrap up your tutoring session on time. Why? Because that van driver got to go pick up somebody else. And I would hate for you to call my phone and be like, Mr. Antoine, the van left me and Byron. I got to figure out how to come get you, call you an Uber, come get you myself, do whatever to get you back to campus. But in your tutoring session on time. Travel time is built into all tutoring sessions except the ones on Saturday and the ones that are online. Other than that, tutoring travel time is included. If you drive yourself to a school where transportation is provided, again, check in with the van driver. Now, what happens if you drive yourself? And this is not Fran's car, this is just some car I just got a stock photo. You will work with your resource coordinator or your tutoring coordinator on the logistics. So I will send an email and say, hey, Mrs. Cone, please meet Johnny and Samantha. They are tutoring. Johnny and Samantha, Ms. Cone will give you all the little specific details about where to park, how to check in, et cetera, et cetera. But you will work directly with that school. If you sign up for a session that says, pick a day, Tuesday through Thursday at 9 o'clock. If you sign up for that, I will then email the school and say, hey, these are the 4 students, and the school will reach out to you directly and say, okay, which day do you want? Maybe you just want one, maybe you want all 3. Be sure to check in with your school's resource coordinator so that your attendance is counted. And again, travel time is included with that. Now, this presentation used to be a little bit longer, but we're trying to condense it to give you the basics so that then you can have what's coming up next. Okay? Who has questions? No questions? Oh, let me go down here. All right. Yes. That's a great question. The answer is no. I can't let you double dip. But you are an adult. You manage your schedule. So you can say, hey, Mr. Antoine, I want my hours to count for my scholarship. And then once you know you have them for your scholarship, then say, hey, I want to, fulfill the rest with federal work study. You may say, I will do another volunteer opportunity for my scholarship, but I want to do Bearcat Buddies for federal work study. So it's all about communication. Okay? Yes. Either one. Either one. If you have a buddy in the program that rides the bus and you trust them with your hours, if you want to say, hey, just tell them that I'm here, that's on you. But if it was me, I would make sure that I talk with the driver to make sure my attendance is checked. Yes. We'll do it. You're welcome. Great questions. Yes. If you pre-register, you get priority. I try to at least give you a day. So I will say about 260 people registered in half a day priority. And then after that, I release it to the entire student body. Now, there may be tweaks, right? So let's say I had a session that I'm providing transportation for, but there's only 2 people that signed up for that session. Like, I can't justify to my boss how I'm gonna pay somebody and spend the gas for 2 people. So I may reach out to you directly and say, hey, we're closing that session. What else? What other sessions? And then I got the ability to change and add, right? If it says only 12 and we already at 12, I may be able to see and say, oh, these 2 young ladies are driving themselves, so I can add you in to the, like I'll work with you, okay? You look like you got a question. No? Good question. We will put you down as an option to ride the bus. What we really use that for is that if we are stretched, we may say, hey, would you mind driving a group and we help with gas or something like that. But it's really for our flexibility. But you will be down as that. But again, if you drive yourself, what do you need to do? Check in with the van driver. Yeah, yeah. I'm approaching 50, so my hearing is gone. My kids make fun of me, but I really sometimes can't hear. But go ahead. You can. You can. Especially if you're trying to do federal work study, right? Because whatever your award amount is, let's just say it's $1,500 for the semester, I'm paying you 15 bucks an hour, so most you can work. I mean, math genius in here, right? 100 hours, right? So you can do 10 hours a week, or and just more than one session to have that as in combination. There was a hand over here. Maybe that was the same question. You got it? Okay. Yes. Our website is going to be, she said, what if it's a school that you want to tutor at that's on the website, but it's not a session? That means we weren't able to secure a contract with that school this time around, and our website is a little bit outdated. I got sick last week, so I'm about a week behind. But only the sessions that's online are the sessions that's being offered. Now, I may be able to add 1 or 2, like I'm really working with 2 schools to try to get them to get all their documents and ducks in a row. So there may be an email blast and say, hey, we've just opened up X, but what school is it? Pleasant Ridge? Yeah, no. Miss Jamie left, and they just having a hard transition to somebody new. Yeah, sorry about that. Yes? I can't hear nothing you're saying. Yeah, such a soft. Yep, all through email. So I'll email you and say, hey, welcome, your tutoring session starts tomorrow. Remember what we said, this is what to expect. I got you. Yep. If we need to. So you're talking about federal work study? Yeah, so you got the list, go ahead and sign up if you know what you already can do. So you should have got an email about registration is open, follow this link. Did you get that? Okay, so it was in the same email that this one is. Give me your, write down your email address and I'll make sure you get it before I leave today. That would be excused, but you still only get 2. Okay, so you would email us and let us know, right? Sometimes people email documentation, like a copy of the syllabus or something, so you can do that, but that's all through the Bearcat Buddy inbox. Yes?
So I know that like in your
Yeah, do not report them. Because if you, that's a very good question. I'll come back to you next. If you are at a school where transportation is provided, which means I am responsible for your hours, if you check in, it automatically sends me an email that says, hey, this person won hours, right? If I say yes, and then on Mondays, our staff enter the hours, then you'll be double dipping. You'll get counted twice. So any hours that you submit, if transportation is provided, will automatically be rejected. So save yourself time, don't even check in. Exactly. Yes.
If I attend every single session, how many total hours?
Depends on the session. Some sessions are an hour, some you get 2, some's an hour and a half. So it'll tell you what the sessions are, and then you just do the math.
So if it's like 9:40,
That's an hour and a half hours.
so like the driving time isn't.
Yep. Yep. I think I got your email. Okay, yeah. All right, we're going to transition to to dinner. If you got questions, come up here to me. If you are ready to eat, you're going to have an assembly line following this guy right here. Thanks, Fran. You're going to grab your food and come right back in here.
Is that like for everything? If that's the way to sign up for?
No, I mean, the sessions is open now. Let me turn this on.
part. Unseen. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, that's it. Hopefully. It's gonna be another like 10 minutes at least. How long is practice till 10? Alright, power trip. Imagine one person doing this all by themselves. What is that? Yeah. I don't think it matters. What? I mean, that's just for our own. It's for our own thing. Yeah. Oh, yeah, easily. How many people do you think are
You
here?
have some very strong people there.
That was freshman year, right? Oh, right, that's true. Do you think there's more than 500 people here? Yeah. Do you think this is more than 500 people? This looks like 200, 300 maybe? And I was gonna say that. I was gonna say that. That's all right. You see? What? What is it? No. Oh, the hearing? We didn't say anything. Oh. Oh. Oh, it is on. Yeah, why would it not be on?
It's just a little button. Yeah.
Yeah, mine's on. It's on. Oh, it's off. Oh, off. Ready. All right, hello everyone. My name is Sharish,
And my name is Kirtana.
and the rest of our team has put together a student-led mental health and suicide prevention initiative called 11.1. We're really excited to be here giving you this training today. Mental wellness is not talked about enough for various reasons. The goal of today's training will be to explore that and start to break down the barriers and the stigma around it. We will have a couple of activities throughout the presentation, but for one, you will need a piece of paper and something to write with. Also, I know Antoine kind of scared into it before, but if you're not already following UC Bearcat Buddies, please do so right now.
So really quickly, we like to introduce our organization. We are 11.1. Our organization gets our name from the statistic that every 11 minutes, one person passes away by suicide. So like our friends and I, we put together this initiative from the students, for the students, by the students. And we want to take the initiative and the solution directly to you guys. So that's our QR code on the top for our Instagram. We'd love it if you guys give us a quick follow. And then on the bottom, we have our attendance QR code just for our purposes, kind of like to keep track of how many people we're giving our training to. It should ask you to sign in to get involved UC, and then it should just say on the bottom, your attendance has been recorded. I know you guys are eating, so thank you guys for doing that really quickly.
so wait. Can't wait for everyone. Can we wait for everyone? Please go.
A lot of people should. Isn't that working?
Keeps taking me to this.
You're logged in, so it probably already said on the bottom that your attendance has been recorded, so you're probably fine.
Oh,
You're good. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, you can just do it right here.
Because it is not focusing on. Thank you.
Yeah.
Want the QR code, yeah.
Not working. There you go. All right, let me start.
Yeah. In the interest of time, we'll move on. We'll get attendance in another way, but thank you guys for trying. We're gonna start with the Mentimeter activity. So you guys can get on your phones again and go to menti.com, and we're gonna start with an activity to kind of get an understanding of what mental health means to you. So you can join the code up top 33157646, and it'll ask you like 3 responses, like 3 words or phrases to describe what it means to you. While the responses are rolling in, I can kind of share what mental health means to me. Mental health to me, I definitely would say that it's changed over the past few years. But right now, to me, it means comfort, whether that be the people I'm around, the way I'm feeling, the place that I'm in. I think when my mental health is at its best, it means comfort to me. So we can see that self-care is at the center of it. That means more of you are saying that. But we can clearly see compassion, my well-being, security, happiness, comfort. A lot of responses. Thank you, guys. Entrapment, clear-headed, enrichment time, stable. Maybe I'm tripping, but I saw NyQuil in there. That's really interesting, you guys. Oh, tranquil. My bad. I can't read. Self-priority, self-confidence, mercy. I've never seen that before. Mindfulness, eating. Yes, that is mental health for sure. Healthy relationships, balance. Thank you, guys. These are amazing responses. And one thing we can kind of try to see a trend is that it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but we can all agree on a few things. Mental health means to take care of ourselves and of other people. It means to say no when it can be really hard to, and it means figuring out what the best action for you to take is. To our presentation.
Before we continue with the rest of our presentation, we want you all to be aware of a couple of things. We are going to be talking about mental health and suicide, as well as our personal experiences with it. So if at any point you feel overwhelmed or want to take a break, feel free to step out. That's perfectly okay.
We're going to start with a pretest. You can scan the QR code and it'll have some questions. This is just to see how effective our training is. We're going to have you take something very similar to this at the end of the presentation just to see how things have shifted. It's completely anonymous, so nothing will be traced back to you. We'll give you guys like about 5 minutes to do that. We'd appreciate if you guys put your phones away once you're done. That's the only way we're gonna know you're done with the pretest. Okay, we're gonna move on. So imagine that we want to take all of you back to December 10th, 2021. It's the last day of finals. It's the Friday of finals week. For those of you who are freshmen, just imagine that, you've had a week full of no classes, you've had exams the entire week, and it's Friday, you're about to go home for the semester. So think back to what you were doing.
So me personally, I was at the Cincinnati Children's Hospital having my end of the week meeting with my lab mentor.
I had just flown back home to New Jersey, and I was starting to work on a paper that I had procrastinated all semester.
Now imagine you get this text all of a sudden. What would you do? Unfortunately, that's exactly what happened to the both of us and our friends on December 10th, 2021 at 3:35 p.m. And that was the moment that our lives changed forever. We got the notification and saw a message in our new group chat. Naturally curious, we all checked it regardless of what we were doing. We didn't know that the next few hours of our lives would stay with us forever. Within the next few minutes it took all of us to get there, he was already gone. Over the next 3 days, we had finished a semester, lost our best friend, and gone to his visitation.
Suicide isn't as distant as it seems. We're being 100% honest when we say that everything felt like, and even still does sometimes, straight out of a movie. You never think something like this can happen to you until it does, when it's too late, and it can really happen to anyone at any point. Life happens and it knocks you down. But it's important to understand that you can't control that. What is in your control is what you do afterwards, how you cope with it. And after losing our friend, I definitely felt guilty about not being able to help prevent it or not being able to be there for him. But it's really important to understand that you're only responsible to do something that you know how to do and when it needs to be done. Let me repeat that. You're only responsible to do something that you know how to do when it needs to be done. No one is ever really prepared for something like this. And no matter what age you lose someone at, it's always too early. So over the rest of the presentation, you will learn about how common mental health issues are and what you can do to help take care of other people and yourself.
As big of a topic as mental health is, it can be hard for people to understand what impact they have on others. It can be really easy to wonder if your actions matter or make a significant contribution. Now, as a Bearcat Buddies tutor, you have a unique role to play in your students' lives. You all were selected as tutors because you exemplify the values UC holds and because you are great mentors and role models. As a role model, you make an impact on your students. The example you set helps them see how they should carry themselves as they get older. They also can come to you for advice. If you think about it, compared to the other mentors they have in their academic lives, you are probably one of the people they feel closest to. You have the ability to help shape their future. A lot of the time, children are just looking for someone to guide them and support them. You represent what their future could look like, both academically and personally. Lastly, we all have a role to play. Mental health and suicide prevention should start at the beginning. We can all be mental health champions and advocate for a safer society that's welcoming of mental health discussions. That change doesn't just happen. It starts with you and me. Now that we've talked a bit about your impact and why you're an important part of our mission, we want to shift our focus of looking at just how common mental health issues really are. In America, one person dies by suicide every 11 minutes. 12.2 million adults seriously consider or attempt suicide. 75% of lifetime mental health problems onset by the age of just 24. And there has been a 135% increase in students reporting depression since 2013. While these statistics continue to climb, there is also another side to the story that also continues to climb. The graphic on the right shows that the results of the study show that 93% of people believe they can play a role in preventing or stopping suicide. Our goal is to make that to 100%, and that starts right here. Now let's zoom in a little bit to UC. We reached out to CAPS and got some statistics from a survey done at the beginning of COVID. The majority of our student body felt hopeless, overwhelmed, mentally exhausted, and very lonely. Obviously, we know the pandemic has played a major role in people's lives for the past 3 years now, so this is just the tip of the iceberg. Like we said before, suicide isn't as distant as it may seem. In 2020, 12.7% of our student body seriously considered suicide. To put that in perspective, 13 people out of 100 had a plan to end their life. 9 intentionally cut, burned, bruised, or injured themselves, and 1.7% of our student body attempted suicide. Considering our student body was just under around 45,000 in the spring of 2020, that means roughly 800 of our students attempted suicide. You never know what the people around you are really going through.
I'm going to zoom in one more time to look at a specific instance within the Cincinnati public school system. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely didn't think that kids, were even capable of thinking about ending their life. So this story really surprised me. So in 2017, we want to look at the story of Gabriel Teg, an 8-year-old boy from Carson Elementary School. Gabriel was severely bullied in school for about a year, and on January 24, 2017, there was video evidence showed him lying on the floor for several minutes while students continued to walk past him, kicking him or mocking him even further. The former assistant principal knew that Gabriel was lying on the floor, but refused to call 911 and it just sent him home like nothing had happened. And the mom, without knowing what had happened, she just took him to Cincinnati Children's Hospital, where they spent hours as he was complaining of a stomach ache. A couple of days later, he went back to school, where the bullying continued, and then later, January 26, 2017, he came home and he passed away by suicide in his own house. We're going to debunk some myths that are commonly held about suicide. The first one being that people who talk about suicide never attempt or die by suicide. This is actually a misconception because people who actually talk about it, they might already have a plan in their head, and it's usually a late sign in the progression. And it's also a common thought that people who talk about it are just doing it to seek attention, or they're just trying to seek some time from you. But regardless of why they're doing it, the attention you might give them might actually save their life. So it's really important not to dismiss anyone. Another common myth is that confronting a person considering suicide will increase anger and suicidal or self-harming tendencies. Now, we completely understand the hesitancy about approaching someone and asking them, hey, are you considering suicide? It can be a really nerve-wracking experience thinking about the right words, thinking about the right time. But we want to ensure you that talking about suicide to someone cannot put the idea of it in their heads. They are either thinking about it already or they're not. It's actually really important for you to initiate that conversation with them because that'll help you understand what they're going through, their mindset, and how their brain works. It's also going to help them, whether they realize it or not. It's going to diffuse the tension in their head about their problems, and it's going to get their problems off their chest. So again, it's really important to talk about these things with them with someone you might consider is considering suicide. And again, you cannot put the idea of suicide in anyone's head. Another misconception is that marked or sudden improvement in one's mental health state following a suicidal crisis or depressive period signifies that the suicide risk is over. So you might think that someone's going through something and then all of a sudden their life changes and they're starting to do really better. So you might kind of dismiss it like, oh, they're past it, they're done, they're feeling better, which might be like a very dangerous thing because at that point, if they seem to be drastically doing better, that might be because in their head, they already decided, okay, I'm going to end my life at this day, at this time, this way. So they're just kind of not worried about their problems anymore. All their problems seem to be lifted away. So it's really important not to dismiss that. Another thing is that most young people thinking about suicide never seek or ask for help with their problems. We tend to think that, people who are going through it, they do an amazing job of just keeping it to themselves. While some do that, there are a lot of indirect and direct signs that we just miss because we're not aware and we're not knowledgeable about it. That's what definitely happened to us, where there's a lot of signs that we miss with our friend. And that's kind of why we're here, to kind of like educate you guys about the different signs that you can look for to help prevent someone else passing away by suicide.
So like we said, evidence proves most people get help and recover. So if recovery is possible, then suicide is preventable. The QPR mission is to reduce suicidal behaviors and save lives by providing innovative, practical, and proven suicide prevention training. The QPR Institute is a nationally recognized organization that believes quality education empowers all of us to make a positive difference. What is QPR? It stands for question, persuade, and refer. Kind of like CPR, QPR is considered an emergency intervention. It's considered a universal way of intervention. That's a fancy way of saying that it offers each person advice on talking to someone experiencing suicidal thoughts. Obviously, we aren't trained professionals in suicide prevention, but you never know when you may come across someone in need of help. QPR gives us the tools to act in those situations.
This is a slide that kind of explains how to get certified, where we'll skip this in the interest of time, but we are going to have a QR code at the end of our presentation on how exactly you can get QPR certified. So we'll start by talking about some signs of distress. We have 3 different categories: verbal, behavioral, and situational. Verbal is kind of something that we often kind of just overlook just because it sounds uncomfortable, or it's easy for us to think of it as a joke and just move on. But also it's important to be aware of behavioral and situational signs of distress.
It's also important to be aware of the common signs of distress in children. So some examples include sudden outbursts, irritability, avoiding social interaction, personal harm or talks about personal harm, sudden change in mood that is seen to be persistent. So if you do notice these signs as your time as a tutor, generally ask the student about it or let the teacher know, because it's important for you guys to be able to recognize these signs. And sometimes children might not show it outright. They might not say it outright. It's in their mood swings or how they talk, how they act. So it's really important for you guys to pick up on that. So there are also more signs of poor mental health to keep an eye out for. Examples include if someone is detached from friends, has unusual sleeping patterns, drastic changes in weight, sudden drop in grades, easily irritable, and excessive fatigue. While these individually may not seem too worrisome, if these are kind of coupled together, they all kind of build up on each other, it can be a lot worse. Now let's talk about some of the do's and don'ts when it comes to interacting with someone thinking about suicide. So what you do want to do is talk to them in a private setting. This allows them to open up to you and really kind of spill their heart out to you the best way they can. And do allow them to talk freely. Be an active listener, don't interrupt them. Just let them spill out everything they want in their mind and as freely as they want to. And do give yourself plenty of time to listen. Make sure you block out a good amount of time for them so that you can really have a meaningful conversation with them. And also have resources handy, because it's important for you to have help that they can use when they need it. And if you can't ask the question, find someone who can, because you may not be comfortable asking such a hard-hitting, deep question. So find someone who you think would be better suited for that. And some of the things you don't want to do is don't judge them for their feelings and opinions. Don't make them feel like, oh, I shouldn't even open up to you. This is why I don't open up to people. Make them feel free and make them want to talk to you more. And don't phrase the question in the way of, you're not thinking of killing yourself, are you? Because it makes it more easier for them to say no and not really open up to you fully. And don't ever think that it's not my place to say anything. We're not even that close. If you know someone thinking about suicide, it's your job to help in the best way that you can.
So there are 2 ways to approach someone who you may think is considering suicide: a direct and indirect approach. So a direct approach is, it's exactly what it sounds. It cuts straight to the point, just asking questions like, are you thinking about killing yourself? You look pretty miserable. I wonder if you're considering suicide. Now, this might seem, a little too extreme. I personally would not feel comfortable doing this, even as I'm up here. I would probably, opt for the indirect approach, which is completely fine. And that's asking questions like, have you been unhappy lately? Have you been so unhappy that you think you might just want to go to sleep and not wake up? So definitely kind of as important it is for you to look out for other people, it's also important for you to take care of yourselves, which we'll continue talking about throughout the presentation. So definitely choose an approach based on the situation and what you're comfortable with. So one thing we wanted to talk about is kind of the language that we often use to talk about suicide. So, I definitely did this about 3-4 years ago, where I would say yeah, that person committed suicide. But the word commit means to carry out, perpetrate a mistake, crime, or an immoral act. While suicide might not be the solution, It's just the final symptom of mental illness, and we're not really we can't really tell anyone that how they're feeling is wrong. So it's important to say and practice saying things like passed away by suicide or took their own life. And another thing we want to do is address the elephant in the room and kind of talk about the jokes that we make. I definitely have been guilty about this too, where after a bad grade or maybe even I step on a piece of gum, I'm like, oh man, I want to kill myself. But it's really important that we kind of stop making jokes like that, because when we do that, we take away the power from people who say it and actually mean it. And when we hear that so often in our everyday lives, it's so easy to just be like, oh, that's just a joke, that's just a joke. But someone might genuinely say that, and that's going to be their plea for help. A study done by the National Institute of Mental Health said that nearly 80% of 5 to 11-year-olds who died by suicide between 2013 to 2017 had mentioned killing or harming themselves in the past. That's 80% of kids probably just made jokes around, made jokes with their friends, and it just kind of went completely unnoticed. So definitely we encourage you to at least stop saying these things in your everyday lives, because when you kind of, take a step back from saying these jokes, you'll actually listen and hear when other people around you are saying it, and you can kind of help distinguish who's actually meaning it with true intent and who's saying it as a joke. So some actions that are really some actions are crucial to take when interacting with someone who's considering suicide. So that could be, following up with the visit, getting other people involved to show that there's a lot of people on their side who want them to be alive, and saying things like, I care about what happens to you. I'm on your side, we'll get through this.
Now, here are some resources available from the University of Cincinnati, the Ohio Suicide Prevention Foundation, Ohio Mental Health and Addiction Services, the National Suicide Hotline, and the Crisis Text Line. So feel free to take a picture of this and use it whenever you may need it.
We'll also make sure that Antoine gets this presentation out to you guys in case you ever need to refer back to it.
Now, what are some ways that you all can help? One way is through an organization known as MindPeace. And MindPeace is an organization that strives to provide school-based mental health services to children and adolescents. If you are aware of a child or adolescent in need of support, see if that school is partnered with MindPeace. Another way to help is to let the teacher know so that the best actions can be taken. Now, we want you guys to take a short post test to kind of see what you guys have learned. And again, it's going to be all anonymous, so please take a couple minutes to do that.
You guys can finish that up and we'll move on. So this is like a little activity that we used to do, but we can just talk about it for the interest of time. So what we had, like, if any of you were Bearcat Buddies in the spring semester during that training, what we did is that kind of like on a piece of paper, like draw a hand turkey, and inside, like asking people to like kind of write down things that you can control. Maybe we can get volunteers, just like, what are some things that you can control? It's as simple as it sounds, I swear. Yeah. The question is like, what are some things that are in your control? That are in your control. Yes. Yes. Your words. Yes. So along that same theme, your actions are in your control. What you do with your time, who you spend your time with, those are things that are in your control. And kind of, we would ask people to draw, like write out some things that aren't in your control outside of the turkey. So that would be things like, other people's feelings, other people's thoughts, other people's time. So again, as much as we kind of stress the importance of taking care of people around you, it's also really important to understand that at the end of the day, you're only responsible for yourself. You can only try to help other people, but at a certain point, it can't be at the expense of yourself. So do understand that there are things that you can control and things that you can't. Again, as I said, you can't take care of other people if you don't take care of yourself.
And you're not a machine. You're supposed to take breaks and you deserve rest.
It's okay. It's okay to make mistakes, to have bad days, to be less than perfect, to do what's best for you, and to be yourself.
Stop worrying about things you can't control.
Proud of every step you take towards stability, no matter how big or small. So we'll do one more Mentimeter activity. We'll go back to that. So what coping strategies do you use? Exercise, taking time away, listening to music. Singing, friends, coloring, talking to my boyfriend, sleeping, video games, Grey's Anatomy, yes. Hanging out with my girlfriend, fresh air, nature, food, calling my mom. Thank you for sharing that, whoever put that in. I've struggled with suicide before, and I went to my parents and sat and talked with them for hours. All right, so we can see a lot of things here. NyQuil, I'm not sure if that's a great coping strategy, you guys. Okay, we're getting real honest here now.
We're good.
Okay, we'll go back to the presentation. Remember, you're working with kids. Okay, if we regroup, here are some common coping strategies for stress that we've put together. Maybe these are even things that you can recommend to your students.
So one common one is having a good support system. While it is important for you guys to take care of other people, like you should have people around you that can take care of yourself as well. So make sure you have like trusted people that you can really reach out to. And exercise as well. I know a lot of you put that on the Mentimeter we just did. Exercise can help you clear your head and kind of take your mind off of some of the stressors in life. And also learning how to say no. I know it can be hard to prioritize like what you want to do with your time and who you want to hang out with, or what you want to, all that kind of stuff. So just learn how to say no so that you can really have time for yourself and do the things you really enjoy.
It's also important to find ways to be present. Sometimes worrying about the past or the future can be all very consuming and overwhelming. So really try to focus on the present, the here and the now. Live in the moment, accept yourself. Another important thing is sleep. I know it can be hard with classes, homework, involvement, and everything, but you'd be surprised just how much like a good night's sleep rest can help you. Especially like if you're having trouble managing your time with stuff, definitely ask for help and try to again, step back and learn how to say no to things. Another really important thing is to establish a routine. So it's really helpful to keep yourself on track and it can relieve any anxiety you might have with time management or overcommitment. So here's the QR code we mentioned before. If you guys are interested in becoming QPR certified, that'll take you to like a Google Drive document, like kind of just like outline step by step how to get certification.
So again, mental health is something that exists in all of us, and it manifests itself differently in everyone. We all react to stressors and triggers differently. That being said, we all have a role to play in taking care of ourselves and each other. We all know there's a stigma around mental health, and we can only get rid of that stigma by keeping an open mind and actively talking to each other. We never thought we would be up here giving you guys this presentation. I think it's pretty common to feel like our actions are too small to make a significant impact. And as someone who has had that mindset before, I can say with confidence that all it takes is courage to take that first step in asking for help. We're here because we're trying to encourage a dialogue and encourage you all to be honest with yourselves and honest with each other. Mental health is too important to be left to professionals alone. It starts with you and me. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we love to open up to questions, any comments, concerns.
If you have any.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Of course. It was good. I think they're getting a little restless towards the end of it, but I think it was okay.
I tried to speed mine up a little bit.
We sped through ours too, like we kind of cut down.
Go ahead and, is it still recording?
He's coming. I think he got it. Hi.
I had a hard time signing in with the QR code.
That's okay, but
You can bring me your background check. You got it.
If you still have a background check that you haven't turned in, you can bring it to Antoine.
So with the van situation, I had my notes down. I remember pulling up at
I was like, I look at that.
Right, I was like ready to pause.
I know exactly.
Hold on.
Say it again.
Get a bite.